Hi. So, last month I did a video called All Magic is Real Magic, where I talked about how you shouldn't look at other players lesser than you in Magic because they play Universes Beyond or they like weird mechanics or whatever, and how there is no such thing as this isn't real Magic. Um, this is kind of a sequel to that, in that I'm going to talk about that kind of subject again because EDHREC released a list of the top 10 worst sets of all time as voted for by the community, and I thought it'd be fun to go over it because it annoys me to no end and I just want to bitch about it. So that's what we're going to do today. So, number 10 on this list is Spider Man. And I don't know if you guys know this or if you guys were unaware, but Spider Man isn't even out yet. It's not even fully spoiled yet. We don't even know a majority of the cards yet, I'm pretty sure. And people are already hating on it. So I guess let's start with that. Um, I've seen a lot of complaints that the cards aren't as flavorful as normal, and that this doesn't feel like a passion project, and there's a lot of filler. Okay, the filler thing, I guess I get, because from what I can tell, this did start as an Assassin's Creed style tiny set before being moved up to being a full size set. I disagree about the lack of passion, and I disagree about the flavorfulness personally. I like the flavor of a lot of things that we've seen so far. Like, I love that web swinging is represented by bouncing a card back to your hand and then putting a new one down. Like you're going up and down like you're swinging through the air, while also representing like a Spider-Man swinging in out of nowhere to save the day or whatever. I love Venom exiling cards from graveyards to grow stronger as a form of consuming the dead. There's a lot of flavorful stuff in here that I think is underlooked. I love stun counters representing webbing up enemies and making it so they can't untap. I love that they didn't just make Spider Man Is It or Jeskai or whatever because red and blue suit. They actually gave him different colors and made him Bant or whatever. I love the art. I don't know. The Spider-Man set looks really cool and really flavorful to me so far, or whatever. Like, maybe it's not as flavorful as some other sets, but I feel like the flavor is on point here. It's just. But I can see how some people would want tweaks to it. But overall, I still feel like this is a project made with passion by fans of the series, like, that really love Spider-Man and want to have some really cool Spider-Man cards. I think that I think it's stupid that this is on here because again, the set isn't even out yet. We don't even know everything about it. So how can you say that this is one of the worst sets of all time if we don't even have like half of the cards, I'm pretty sure at this point. It just feels weird and disingenuous to me, and it feels more like you're hating it just because it's Universes Beyond rather than hating it because of genuine reasons or whatever. Number 9 is something I can't talk about, and that is Homelands. Uh, I've only seen what people have talked about, which is that Homelands is one of the more boring answers, but I mean, it makes sense and fits. But again, I'm not an old head with Magic. I started playing 5 or so years ago, 4 years ago, around that range. So I can't say much about Homelands, sadly. I don't know. So the one that's at number 8 is Assassin's Creed. I get it. I at least kind of get it. Assassin's Creed is a set with a lot of cool cards, with a lot of cool mechanics, in my opinion, and a lot of neat ideas. It's just that it was a tiny set, and I'm gonna be honest, Assassin's Creed, like, I can't say anything to. I've never played an Assassin's Creed game, but I feel like this isn't a set where it doesn't fit Magic the Gathering's aesthetic. It does, like a more historical setting. There's assassins and like warriors of different time periods, soldiers and all that. It makes sense. I think Assassin's Creed doesn't have enough to work with. Like, the reason they did a tiny set instead of a normal sized one is because I feel there is so little to work with in terms of what you can do with Assassin's Creed in Magic the Gathering. And they did the best they could. And I think the set is just forgettable. I keep forgetting this set comes out. There is a point. I think I can still do it where from the time I started playing to now, I can list every single set at least the core, like the main sets or whatever, that has come out between me starting in between Kaldheim and Strixhaven until now. But I feel like Assassin's Creed is one that I just won't remember. I barely remember it happens. Whenever I see a card from that set, I just go, oh yeah, so that happened or whatever. It's a boring set, but I think there's enough really cool cards in it, and it just is inoffensive enough to be able, like, I don't think it should make this list. It's inoffensive, it's fine, it's just kind of forgettable. I can understand why it's on here, but I don't think it really deserves to be, because it's more so forgettable rather than outright bad. Which, I guess we'll get to that now. What do they mean by bad? Tell me, what do they mean by bad? Is it none of the cards are good? Is it that it's unhealthy for the game because it released too many broken cards? Is it like the aesthetic or the world that makes it bad? Is it like you can't just say, a lot of the time you can say what's the worst X ever made or whatever and it makes sense. I feel like you can't do that with a card game set because there's so many factors and so many different definitions of bad. It could have a shit draft format. It could introduce like a million broken cards that ruin the meta. It could, like, the aesthetic of and the plane could not work or whatever. Like, there's so many different aspects as to why a set can be bad that I feel you can't just say it like this. You have to be more specific. Maybe the post asking for answers and taking the poll, maybe that was more specific. Maybe that gave you criteria, but they did not share the criteria when they posted the final list to their Blue Sky. I don't know. You can't describe a set like that. Anyway, number 7 is Aftermath. Hear me out. I think Aftermath is not a good set. It's tiny. It's like expensive. It's like worthless. It didn't affect any formats in a major way. The story kind of dropped the ball, seeing as how much they hyped it up as an epilogue to the plot that was going on. It's a tiny bit overhated, dude. Like, people act like this is like, I don't know. People act like this is a Magic 30 level. We need to give them vile, poisonous hatred. I think Aftermath was a fumble, but people act like it's the worst thing ever made. And I don't think it is. There's enough neat cards in there. There's some cool legendaries that I think make for fun commanders. And there's some fun, like, one-ofs, or whatever you want to call it, one-offs in there. I think it is a perfectly meh set that I feel they dropped the ball with, but it's not the worst thing ever made or whatever. Maybe I'm being a Magic apologist. Maybe I'm, like, too kind or whatever. But I feel like it's a little smidge. It's still a bad set. It's just a little smidge overhated. Just a tiny, tiny bit or whatever. After that's Karlov Manor, and this is hard. I think Karlov Manor to me is an Assassin's Creed situation. It is so bland and so forgettable, but I feel like there's enough half-neat things in there to make me like it a little bit. I think Disguise and Cloak are pretty cool, especially when they did it with like the Dimir stuff that does Cloak, because I think that's a neat way to do like an assassin thing that they touched on but don't fully focus on. I love the Clue support, which like puts it on par with like Treasure or Blood in terms of like, because I feel like a Clue deck was kind of a nothing deck before, and they have enough support and they do enough okay things. I think some of the individual card designs are really cool. I just feel, again, it's boring overall, and I agree that, like, when you do a trope set like this, I like trope sets. I think they're underrated. I feel you need to be as close to 50-50 as you can in terms of leaning towards the tropes and towards magic. I feel Outlaws of Thunder Junction leaned too far into the tropes. No, I feel like Outlaws of Thunder Junction actually leaned too hard into magic, where like people wanted more Wild West stuff, and people wanted it to be a Wild West set, but what it actually was it focused more on the villains set, or whatever. Whereas Murders at Karlov Manor, I have to try my fucking hardest not to say Markov Manor, by the way. Murders at Karlov Manor leans too hard into the tropes, but I feel like they do enough fine things with the trope space that again, it's not offensive to me or whatever. It's just bland and forgettable. But I can understand how, like, you could think, oh, um, bland and forgettable is worse than infuriating or insulting because at least infuriating or insulting are memorable, you know? But, like, I don't know, that's how I feel. It's just kind of boring and bland. Not the worst thing ever, but not really good. Next up on here is. Okay, so this is the hard one. Final Fantasy. I think the Final Fantasy set is great. I love a lot of the cards from it. All the Final Fantasy fans that I know that play Magic and have seen on Blue Sky and Reddit and stuff really love the set. It's really flavorful and really cool. But here's the thing. I thought this was. I've been told that the reason this is on here is because a deck called VV Cauldron is ruining the meta right now, and it's based on that, as opposed to the set itself. This adds to the issue that I mentioned earlier. What do you mean by bad? Like, I guess I can see that being bad, but the set is still well designed otherwise. It still has a fun draft from what I can tell. It's flavorful and like well designed and has a lot of passion to play like the designs and stuff. But like does meta impact matter here or not? I can't tell. So I guess if you're going by VV Cauldron or whatever ruined, is it standard? I think standard, right? Not modern. I don't know my formats. If it ruins standard and it's that big of a problem and it makes the decks like the best deck absurdly expensive, that is a problem and that is like a knock against Final Fantasy. But if it's going just by like, haha, IP bad, then no, I think that's an unfair judgment. But again, they don't specify or clarify or anything. And it gets worse later, trust me. Above that are two sets that I can't really talk about. Fallen Empires. I think I heard people say that had an awful draft format, but again, I'm not sure. Dragon's Maze is the next one, and I only know that set in the context of worst Magic sets of all time. Like, that's the one that I've seen people talk about the most in terms of, like, this is an awful set. But I've also heard people argue that this is, like, an old head YouTuber probably gave you this opinion type thing. And I hate the whole, like, nice opinion, did a YouTuber give it to you thing or whatever. But, like, again, I'm not knowledgeable enough about old Magic to talk about these specific ones or whatever. After that is the big one, the one that pisses me off. Every Universes Beyond set. Okay, so first off, why is every Universes Beyond set an option? Like, why was that an option that was given to vote for, first of all? Second, why is all Universes Beyond sets on here, but Spider-Man and Final Fantasy and Assassin's Creed are already on here? That's like saying, what's your least favorite food? I hate pizza, I hate spaghetti, I hate Italian food. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous to me, and it's kind of redundant or whatever. But, okay, that's another thing. The next thing I want to complain about with this is all of them. All of them. Like, Lord of the Rings was a great set. The Dungeons and Dragons, I guess the Dungeons and Dragons ones aren't technically Universes Beyond, but whenever I see people complain about Universes Beyond, those are lumped in. I feel like it's insane to be like, the Lord of the Rings set sucks. The Warhammer Commander decks suck. Fucking Final Fantasies, like all of them. Every single one that they've ever released. This is 100% bias, right? Like, I'll get into the bias again at the end, but I feel like this is biased to the nth degree. Just every Universes Beyond set. First off, you shouldn't have, like, I could go on, like, you shouldn't have this as an option or whatever. And if it's a write-in thing where you write in the set that you think, I feel like you should not put it on the list. And if you want to make mention of it, then you should, I don't know, just have it as an honorable mention, or say like, also this got a lot of votes, but I don't think it counts or something. Like, this shouldn't be on the list proper. If you want to make mention of it, that about the number, sure. I guess. It just shows a bias. And apparently, the number one worst Magic the Gathering set of all time is not one that like ruined a million metas or whatever. It's not the one that like ruined formats. It's not Magic 30. It's not like an overpriced thing. It's Aether. Aether Drift. It's just car bad. That is the entire reason people look. Okay, I'll be fair and say, from what I can tell in standard, there's not that many good cards. There's like one really, really good one and a few okay ones, but it didn't shake up the meta. But like, you guys have to know that 90% of this is recency bias mixed with hat set bad, and I just think that's unfair. Like, there's really cool shit in Aether Drift. I love a lot about Aether Drift. I love the aesthetic. I love that it's trying to be a little more silly, where like Bloomborough tried to be more of a standard Magic set. Like it tried to lean more back into the fantasy of Magic the Gathering. Duskmourn tried to go darker and serious with the occasional joke thrown in. There's a few joke cards. And it tried to do a different aesthetic with the more modern tech, which I really enjoyed personally. I know that some people don't. I feel like Aether Drift tried to do something not cool and did something kind of silly but with serious connotations. A death race across the plains or whatever is silly. Like them being on motorcycles and race cars and robots and stuff is silly. But I honestly feel that like the ideas behind it around racing for the Aether Spark and the Aether Spark in general, and a lot of the designs are just really cool, and I feel like people over-exaggerate how bad this set is in terms of the tropes it leans on. I think Aether Drift does a good job of doing the racing theme and the death race tropes and all that, while also trying to make it feel like you're on a Vishkar and Muruganda and you know all that stuff. I feel like it does a good job of making it tropey while still making it so it feels like you're in the world of Magic. I don't know. I just think it's bias. And to end this off, this list is recency bias and anti-universe is beyond bias, 100%, right? Because Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed, Aftermath, Karlov Manor, Final Fantasy, every UB set, and Aether Drift. So all but like 3 of them are sets from the past year or two. And I know it's like, of course there's going to be recency bias, because a lot of the people playing today probably don't even know what Homelands is, and I guess that's fair. But like, I feel like there had to have been a better way to do this, because this is all just IP bad, IP slop. Everything I hate is slop, and everyone who likes anything I hate is wrong and stupid. 100%. Like, I know that there's genuine complaints to be had about all of these sets. Except Spider-Man, because we don't know the full set yet. Like, Assassin's Creed's kind of boring. Aftermath was like a wasted opportunity. Karlov Manor leaned too far into tropes. Final Fantasy ruined a format or whatever. Like, Aether Drift, like they all, like, Aether Drift didn't give too many good cards for multiple formats. I get it. It's just, I feel like these votes were not made in good faith. These votes were not, I'm going to think about, like, what really, like, I'm not going to take into, like, most of this into consideration. I'm just going to go car set bad, detective set bad, and then vote for that or whatever. And I just think it's, like, a waste. I think there is something you can do with figuring out what the top 10 worst Magic sets of all time are. But I think you need to find a way to get rid of recency bias and try to like determine it through different factors, because you can't just say this is the worst set. Because do you mean draft, or do you mean like the draft sucked, or it ruined standard, or it was like too, like the theme was bad, or it leaned too far into tropes or whatever. I don't know. I just think this is ridiculous and this is kind of silly. And I know it's just, this is a stupid list. This is just a silly for fun thing. This has no effect on you. And it's like, yeah, of course it doesn't. But what I'm saying is, I'm gonna bitch about it anyway, because it just shows how biased a lot of people are, and how recency bias can ruin polls like this and ruin this kind of thing. I think there is something to trying to figure out what the worst magic sets of all time are by like taking into consideration multiple factors to try to determine it, but you have to be at least somewhat subjective about it. And I don't think doing it in this format is a good way of handling it, basically. I don't know. I just hate this list. It goes without saying, I don't blame EDH Rec for this. Like, they did a poll and it turned out this way. They didn't like, I don't think they had malicious intent or did anything for this or whatever. Don't go attacking them. It's just, I think this shows a bias in the Magic community, and I think it's a little unfair. And like, again, I get there's valid complaints for all of these sets, but I feel like a lot of the I feel like even people who are like I don't like Universes Beyond have to admit that like there's some bias here, you know? Like there's at least a little bit of bias, but whatever. I guess that's all I really wanted to say about this. Um I'm sorry if this is rambly. This was 100% unscripted, and it's like 100 degrees out right now, so I'm kind of woozy right now. But that's all I really wanted to talk about today. The Sahili video is still coming. I'm working on editing that. I don't know if it's going to be out in August. It's probably going to be out in September. There's no way I'm finishing this video in 5 or 6 days. But I'll figure that out. Just I have a Blue Sky in the description. I have a fucking Let's Play channel in the description. I have a Ko-fi in the description. Follow me everywhere you want to. I'll see you guys in the next video.